All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about the answer for the multiplication quiz. So again, what this program is supposed to do is take two random numbers, the first one in between 1 and 100, the second one in between 10 and 100, that's a multiple of 10. Take those two numbers and then ask the user to multiply them together. Then if the user gets it right, it says to the user that they got it right, and if they got it wrong, it tells them they got it wrong. So relatively simple program, but pretty tricky with the random number generator. So that will be the trick in this, but other than that, should be relatively simple. So just to start things off, we're going to comment out a section just to make sure that it's a little bit more clear what our code is actually doing. So the first thing we're going to do is generate a random number between 1 and 100. So we're just going to type that out here. Turn a random number between 1 and 100. And then we'll press Shift Return so that we can go to the next line of code without actually running it. And you can see here this undefined thing right here. Don't really worry about that. It's just saying that if we ran this code right now, it wouldn't return anything. It would just return an undefined result. So again, don't worry about that. That's fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create our first variable. So we're going to declare the variable x, and we're going to set it equal to the random number that we're going to create. So the first thing we're going to do is math.random, and you can just press tab to finish the autocomplete. That takes the parentheses, and then we're going to multiply it by 100. So this will get us a random number between 0 and 99. And we're going to try to turn that into an integer. So we're going to put parentheses around that. And then we're going to do math.floor. Again, tab to autocomplete, put in the parentheses, and parentheses there. And you can see the underline here shows you that the parentheses is being closed. So again, this is taking a random number in between 0 and 1, multiplies it by 100. So that way you get a random number between 0 and 99. And then math.floor turns that summation and multiplication, or sorry, I guess just multiplication, into an integer in between 0 and 99. And then we just add 1 to make it an integer between 1 and 100. Then we add a semicolon, and we move on to our next line by pressing Shift plus Return. So we're just going to, again, create some comments here so that we know what our program's doing. Turn a random number between, can't spell today, 10 and 100 is multiple of 10. Shift plus Return again. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to declare a variable called y. We're going to basically just copy paste the code above with some slight modifications. So we're going to do math floor math.random. And here's where it gets a little tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply it by 10. And then, so that's in parentheses, closing that off. Then we're going to add 1. So now this is generating a random number between 1 and 10. And then we're going to put that all in parentheses. And we're going to multiply it by 10. So again, what this is doing is creating a random number in between 0 and 1. We're multiplying it by 10 to get a random number between 0 and 9. And we're adding 1 so that we get a random integer between 1 and 10. And then we're multiplying it by 10. That gives us a random number between 10 and 100. That's a multiple of 10. So this is the tricky part. Now that we're done with the tricky part, we can move on to the hopefully easier stuff. So again, Shift plus Return. Do that again. And now we're going to create comments for run game, Shift and Return. And now we're going to create a new variable called response. And this is going to hold what the user inputs. Then we're going to ask the user what is, and we're going to create a concatenation. So what we're going to do here is what is x plus or is x, and then we're going to put in a string. So what is x multiplied by, and then same thing, single quotations, plus sign, single quotations, y, then another plus sign, single quotations, question mark, parentheses, and then semicolon. So this is just saying what is, this is a string, and then we're combining it with the variable x, which is our random number between 1 and 100. Then we're saying multiplied by y, which is a random number between 10 and 100, and then just putting the question mark for completeness. So the user is going to answer this, and then we're going to get a string back. So we want to use the parse int method again here to convert that string into an actual number that we can use. So again, just parse int and the parentheses, and we should be good to go there. And then shift return. Okay, so now that we got the response back, we want to see if this response is right. So we're going to do if parentheses response response equals, and make sure to use 2 equal signs. That way, this is a condition. When it's 1 equal sign, it's setting the variable equal to a certain value. So make sure you use double equal signs here. X times y, then open and close curly bracket, shift return, tab over, alert, you got it right. Semicolon, then come down here and just do a simple else, open, close curly bracket, shift return, alert, you got it wrong. Close parentheses, and then semicolon. All right, so we should be good to go here. Again, what this is doing is getting a random number between 1 and 100, storing it in the variable that we declare called x, then doing the same thing with the random number between 10 and 100. Then we're running the game by asking the user what is x multiplied by y. We're taking that response, we're taking it from a string and parsing it into an integer and storing in the variable response. And then we're saying if response is equal to x times y, say you got it right, else alert you got it wrong. So that should be it, and we should be good to go. So I'll just press return and see if this works. So what is 17 multiplied by 60? We'll just put in a random number here to see if we get it wrong. You got it wrong, sucker. All right, let's again try it again to see if we can get it right. Press the up. Now we'll retype in all the code as you see here and press return. All right, what is 55 multiplied by 80? So working backwards, that's 0. 8 times 5 is 40. So 0 again, carry the 4. 8 times 5 is 40. So 40 plus 4, 44. So that should be right. Let's see. You got it right. All right, that was it. We finished our program. Took a little bit of effort, and this random number thing is obviously pretty tricky, but should feel good that we've completed this project.